Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CCS, and this is my pet gorilla, George. Well, this is it. The last great Pixar film I've seen before the 2020s. So let's get into the brief history. Toy Story 3 was released all the way back in the summer of 2010, and it was one of Pixar's biggest money makers, as well as one of their most critically acclaimed movies. It was nominated at the Academy Awards for Best Picture, which for an animated film is very much a shock for many. But sadly, it didn't win. Thanks a lot, Tom Hooper. That didn't stop it from being awesome, as it was, though. But it wasn't the end of the Toy Story franchise. It kept going with short films under the banner Toy Story Toons, as well as two TV specials on ABC, released in 2013 and 2014 respectively. I'll review them one day. But aside from those products, there was nothing left for the franchise. That is until November of 2014, when Pixar officially announced the fourth and final film in the franchise, initially set for a 2017 release, before being moved to 2018 and eventually June 21st, 2019, swapping places with The Incredibles 2. The movie had some people not being as amused as the third film seemed to wrap everything up in the franchise with a bow. But a lot of people were excited to see what the movie had to offer. Seriously, the wait for this film was killing me. I remember waiting years for the trailers to drop, and finally, on Veterans Day 2018, the first official teaser was dropped showcasing the animation the movie would take on, and eventually, Pixar pulled back the curtain slowly but surely to give all of us hungry fans what we wanted. It was an agonizingly long wait. But when it finally came onto the big screen, it killed the box office, beating the previous movie's records, and was a hit with critics, taking home an Oscar for Best Animated Feature, as it deserved. Yet some people didn't appreciate the final film in the franchise as much as others. What do I personally think of it, though? It's time to find out. This is Toy Story 4. Woody, voiced again by Tom Hanks, Buzz Lightyear, voiced again by Tim Allen, and the rest of the gang embark on a road trip with Bonnie, voiced this time by Madeline McGraw, and a new toy named Forky, voiced by Tony Hale. The adventurous journey turns into an unexpected reunion as Woody's slight detour leads him to his long-lost friend Bo Peep, voiced again by Annie Potts. As Woody and Bo discuss the old days, they soon start to realize that they're worlds apart when it comes to what they want from life as a toy. Seeing as how I'm a sucker for all of these movies, there was no doubt I was going to love this film. Is it the best of the franchise? Well, in my opinion, no. It's not as good as the first two films. But it is better than Toy Story 3 in my opinion. But maybe it's because I was more attached to the original movies that I didn't see this one as better than the first two. But Toy Story 3 is the easiest of those movies to get lost within your thoughts. And while I still love it to pieces, it's my least favorite of the four movies. Toy Story 4 has the same emotional strengths as the third film, but it expands on that with a terrific ending that will for sure make you at least a little emotional as a wonderful tribute to the franchise as a whole, but we'll get to that in a minute. I feel it's time to discuss the aspects of the movie to see whether or not it's as good as people say. Spoilers, it is. Woody goes from the self-centered leader to the very kind and caring sympathetic mentor character. That idea is expressed extremely well in this film with his relationship with Forky, as well as his moment with the villain of the film. His character went through an arc throughout the movies, and the writers took their job very seriously, treating this not as a disposable kids movie, but as a movie that treats its audience with respect. And Woody is the perfect character to express that idea through. Buzz still steals the show, as always. In this film, the message of following your inner voice is expressed very well in this movie with his character. He takes on the leadership role again, which was one of the best things about his character throughout the four movies, but especially Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3. And I really hope Lightyear, which comes out next week by the time I'm making this, gives his character the leadership role once again, because I've missed that about him. Other than that, his side mission with Ducky and Bunny and Giggle McDimples was hilarious. That whole improvisation theme scene killed me. It was so funny. Then, of course, we must bring up Bo Peep. And seeing as how she wasn't in the previous film, we got time to miss her. The movie explains how she got separated from Woody and the gang, and it is very emotional and one of the best explanations ever. It gave us an answer to the question we had when watching Toy Story 3, which was, where was Bo Peep? And the explanation doesn't feel rushed or forced at all. It makes sense and gives an emotional opening, and her character had changed from her previous appearances, as she turns into an independent scavenger, essentially, and the one in charge of herself, which Woody doesn't see himself doing until the very end of the movie with that fantastic ending. Which, yes, as I said, we'll get to in a bit. As for Forky, well, I found him hilarious. Usually I get tired of comedic characters if they utilize the same joke repeatedly, but in this case I always laughed at the times when he tried to escape, because it's a very funny joke, and the way they execute it is very smart, which is exactly why I was not tired of his character. He drops the comedic values and becomes very sympathetic and even very emotional. Tony Hale does a great job with the character of Forky, and by far is one of the best parts of the movie for me. Then we have the villains. Holy Christ, did we get some horrifying villains. Gabby Gabby, an old doll, wants to have a working voice box so she can get played with by the owner of the antique shop's granddaughter because of a book. Yeah, it sounds stupid. So what does she do? She wants to go inside of Woody and rip out his voice box to use it as her own. That is all kinds of effed up, and the voice actress Christina Hendricks gives a very frightening performance. But she eventually realizes that some kids don't care for toys before she finds her purpose in life with a child who will care for her. Yes, that scene will get a few people crying. What scares me more than her is actually the ventriloquist dummy she has, led by Benson. These guys remind me of Slappy from the Goosebumps books. But what scares me most about them is the way they are animated. They look like something you don't want to ever encounter. So Toy Story 4 does a great job with its antagonists. And they are by far some of the most disturbing animated characters you'll see in a G-rated movie. Next to the mutant toys from the first movie, of course. The rest of the characters are not in the movie much, but they have some great comedy. Bonnie's toys have amazing jokes, but the best moment that Bonnie's toys, well, more Andy's toys have, is the ending with Bo when they say goodbye to Woody. Seriously, Buzz shaking hands with Woody and hugging him for the last time still gets to me. The toys introduced in this movie, like Giggle McDimples, Ducky on Bunny, and Duke Kaboom, Canada's greatest stuntman, but only in the commercials, are really funny and serve their purpose to the overall story. Duke was my favorite of the characters, as he's voiced by Keanu Reeves, and he has a great arc of overcoming his guilt over an event that makes him feel sad. Gosh, I just want a spin off show about him now. I would watch it all the time. Ducky and Bunny, as I said, have a really great scene, which is where they come up with their plan of getting the keys to a cabinet, and it is one of the funniest things in the entire movie. What makes it better is that they are played by Keegan Michael Key and Jordan Peele, and they do a really great job in this film. As for Giggle, she's just funny, but that's about it. Now, that's it for the characters. How's the animation? Well, it's the best animation made by Pixar by far. Seriously, the textures of the characters look so real. Woody and Buzz alongside the other toys look like actual toys you can buy at a toy store. And believe me, I've owned enough of these toys in my lifetime. The backgrounds and Carnival look real, which is one of the best things about Pixar Animation Studios movies. The backgrounds look pretty realistic. As for the music, Randy Newman comes back for most likely his final Pixar movie, and he delivered with a score with many emotional moments, as well as pieces from all the movies to give a loving tribute to the franchise as a whole. Well done, Randy. So if you couldn't tell, I freaking loved this film. Is it the best Toy Story movie? No. But it is one of Pixar's best films produced, and definitely one of the best animated films I've ever seen. I want to say, if you haven't watched it, what are you waiting for? Check it out alongside with its franchise. It earns the wonderful 10 out of 10 I'm giving it to infinity and beyond. Well, that's it for this review. Feel free to leave your thoughts on the movie below and tune in next week when I take a look at a not so good Pixar movie, as a matter of fact, a terrible one. With that said, my name is Mr. CCS. This is Movie Central. With that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week.